It's never too late to save your season, but the clock is ticking. Change up your team with our top 7 fantasy football trade targets to buy low and sell high ahead of week 8. All this and more. It's the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fixed this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. We're approaching the mid-season mark, which means it's time to take some moves and make some moves, shaking and baking for the second half of the season. We'll give you our top trade targets, our top sleeper picks, and bye-week fill-ins, plus our early best bets. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, hanging in there after another back-and-forth week. Had some pretty big performances from some teams, but also I think I spread the curse of death to Mike Evans. Fired him up in a couple leagues, bet on him heavily. Did not go well there on Monday night, but we turned the page because that's what we do here at IBT, and help me do so is a stellar cast of characters, including our friend from over at the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. He's a fellow Lurs fan and an absolute degenerate. He's Joe Frick. Joe, how are you? I think the last time I saw you, it was about 2 a.m., and you were on an absolute heater on the karaoke mic at the Fantasy Football Expo.
Yeah, can't comment on that. I don't really remember that moment, but that sounds on brand. But good to be here. Good to catch up with you folks. Always a pleasure. Miss all my friends in Canton, so looking forward to getting everybody back here next year for the Expo. And yeah, man, big game for the Lurs. Like you said, we got Green Bay coming into town. We got the new jerseys with the yellow helmets. Yeah. I need to go get me one this weekend, so I'm gonna have to make a trip.
Better get in line, baby. I think a couple Yinzers will be all over those. Also, back in business is a light ranching son of a gun. He's from San Antonio. He is, of course, the big business guy here at IBT. He's Eric Romoff. Tex, the weather, it's finally broken for you, I believe. And how are you doing as Bi-NATO approaches?
I don't know who you're talking to about this weather, but it ain't broken down here. It's still sweltering. By NATO, by Mageddon. Actually, doesn't look too bad across my portfolio of teams. Obviously, you can't fully dodge 6 teams being on bye, but I was surprised setting my first pass of lineups earlier this morning at just how pretty close to full staff a lot of my rosters are.
Wow, you must stop being invested in the same teams I am, because I am absolutely devastated. I have no flexes in multiple leagues, so I'm going to the wire this week. We'll help you guys later on in the program. We'll help you find some of those bye-week fill-ins. But Eric, glad to hear you're doing well. That's always great. Good to know. Good to know. Behind the scenes is everyone's favorite Yinzer, Ginger, and a former IUP Crimson Hawk. He's Kyle Scott. Jim, how are you as spooky season heats up out there in the Steel City? Oh, and I think we just lost Kyle as well. So we're off to a great start. No producer, rolling blind here. Joe, you're not in the Steel City, but how do you think spooky season is doing out there, being someone from the South Side?
Yeah, you know what? The vibes are going to be high. East Carson Street's going to be rolling. And, you know, it's a great time of the year. Kennywood's got their Fright Fest going. And that's all that you can really hope for. You got the crisp fall weather. You got a good Iron City in your belly. And
yes, sir.
Halloween on a Friday, it doesn't get no better. So if you're up in Oakland, get ready to throw down, have some slices of pizza on the house, and just make it happen. So, yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm not worried about these bye weeks. You find a way, you persevere. You got a punt on this one, and that's it. That's not the worst thing either. So keep the vibes up, and let's keep rolling. It's a chase for 7 wins. 7 wins is going to get you in, so let's go.
Kyle, I think we have you back here connected. Joe just gave us the down low. He said Carson Street's the place to go for Halloween. It's going to have an iron sitting in his belly. Are you going to be doing the same thing, keeping your head out on a swivel down there in the Berg this weekend?
I mean, Carson Street's never the wrong answer down here in the Berg. I mean, I'm not quite on the south side. I might have to make the trip down, but yeah, I mean, the Berg is ready for some Iron City in the cold weather. I tell you that much. I for sure am.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm back on the western side of the state right now, so icy light and icy heavy is no longer just a once in a while type thing. It's all day long, baby. So also want to shout out some of our friends checking in with us. First, we got Ben giving us the wave. What's up, Ben? Great to see you. We also have Jalad asking, do we take trade questions? Yeah, go ahead and drop your questions, man. We'll get to those later on in the show. If you can hang out with us for a little while, we'll be sure to try to answer those after we give you our trade targets for the week. Also, if you want more of us, consider joining the IBT football family. That's our premium community where you can get access to our full betting cards, the Discord chat, memorabilia giveaways, and entry into our touchdown contest. All this for just $3.99 per month or $36 for the year. You'll also get access to the NASCAR family for more sports. And we'll also have some PGA stuff coming over there very, very soon, as well as some entertainment premium leagues that you can get invested with. And before we jump in, also a quick shout out to this episode's presenting sponsor, PropDecks, a platform reimagining fantasy sports with prop-based lineups. That's right. Just set your lineups by choosing players from a live pool. No drafts or no season-long commitments. Next, pick your props ranging from safe to bold by selecting presets or customizing your picks for maximum points and control. The harder the prop, the more fantasy points you can earn. Then let your players do the work and watch your point total climb. You could join for free right now in some free-to-play enter tournaments to win gift cards to major apparel brands, custom merch, or more. Or you can also head over to their community-hosted games with friends, private groups, or other online players, including the whole IBT staff that's over there getting our prop lineups in every single week. Stack your props, score big, and own Sundays now by downloading the PropBets app today from the iOS App Store. The link, of course, is in the episode description. Eric, I know you haven't been the best at player prop betting this year, but I know you've certainly enjoyed some PropDecks action so far.
Yeah, specifically, I feel like if I could weight my my individual betting cards in a fashion similar to the way you do over on PropDecks, I would be having a much more profitable season, right? You kind of find the spots where you really feel like you have an edge, where you've got a strong bit of analysis or an inside track on a player, and you slide that scale all the way up and really invest heavily in those, right? So the ability to not only have this kind of open marketplace of props, but being able to slide the scales up and down on the picks in your portfolio is just too much fun.
Again, that's PropDecks. Shout them out. We appreciate them, everything they do over here to power the program. And if you want to support us, please support our partner there at PropDecks. Make sure you guys are trying. You can play for free right now. No deposit, no nothing. Just get over there, download the app. All you need is storage on your phone. And let's go ahead and jump into the buy-sell targets with a little temperature check coming at you.
Temperature check.
That's really spicy. Holy
All right, it's temperature check. It's our buy and sell targets for week 8 of the season. We've been swinging a pretty hot and cold bat, I'd say. You know, a couple weeks ago, I came on here. I said, go buy Travis Hunter low for nothing. He broke out in London, but we also came on here 2 weeks ago and said, get out of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think that was pretty bad advice looking back. So well, it was me and Steven, I guess, but you did not stop us, sir. You did not stop us. So, Joe, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you because you've done nothing. We can hold nothing against you here except these picks you have. Who are you buying heading into week 8?
Yeah, so my buy for this week, it's going to be a little bit premature, but this is going to be the week to do it. But I'm looking at Trey Benson. Earliest he's going to come back from that injury is going to be week 10. But what's happening in Arizona is pretty pathetic. They've essentially had one explosive run, and that was the demarcado. I can't hold on to the ball until I get into the end zone. Other than that, it's been really tough sledding. Bam Knight, 3.5 yards per carry. Michael Carter, 2.8 yards per carry. They're just really not doing anything with that work. With the struggles that they're having in the passing game, the injury to Kyler Murray, he's going to be one of those players that if you're in a position where you have the luxury of trading off really nothing for Trey Benson. I think that he can be a really pivotal piece as you get into the playoff run. So it's not going to cost you a lot. If somebody needs a player, especially in a bye week fill-in like this is a great time to go and attack somebody that could really be, I don't like to overuse the word league winner, but he's going to be somebody that's going to immediately come back into a bell cow role when he returns.
Yeah, I really like this call, Eric, from Joe. It's one of those that if you're in a position of power, if you're 6-1, if you're 5-2, if you're looking like you're going to make the playoffs, and if you're maybe sitting in a position like you are this week where you don't have a ton of holes to fill on your roster, you can exploit that to other teams. Trey Benson, a perfect candidate to go out and maybe grab for the stretch run here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the opportunity is his for the taking when he returns. You still have a bit of runway before he's eligible, so you should be able to get him on a pretty good discount. And he's on the bye this week, which doesn't really matter for him because he's on IR, but historically, managers are willing to let players on bye go for a little bit less than they might otherwise would. So all of that cobbles together a pretty strong case for targeting Trey Benson.
For my first buy, I'll keep us at the RB position. I'm going Rico Dowdle because we're coming off a week where Chuba Hubbard actually outsnapped Rico Dowdle, and some of the steam is starting to come off him. I think that's a great talking point to get the conversation started with the Dowdle manager. Like, hey, he got outsnapped last week by Chuba. But in actuality, though, Rico outtouched Chuba 18-16, averaged 4.7 yards per carry in that game, in that win. Two Chubas, just 2.2 yards per carry. The Panthers are above 500 right now, boys, for the first time this late in the season since 2019. They're doing this by leaning on those running backs as well. So, I think there's two scenarios here where one, it's a near 50-50 split for the rest of the season, and Rico's a low-end RB2, high-end RB3, or there's this world where Rico starts getting closer to 60 to 70% of the work, or maybe they actually just trade Chuba Hubbard altogether, try to add some pieces of that defense, maybe future draft capital as well. So either way, I'm going to bet on the guy who is third in the league in rushing yards with over 550, second in yards per touch at 6.1, eighth in explosive range, seventh in breakaway runs. And oh yeah, he plays behind one of the best run blocking offenses in the entire league. So Joe, sign me up for a little Rico Dowdle. It's going to be more expensive than it was a few weeks ago, but also a lot cheaper than it was coming off those huge gainer of games.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think the one thing that's going to be interesting for me as we get into kind of this stretch, do you have any concern? There's been these reports that they're trying to figure out how to use both players. It's really been a drive-by-drive basis from what we saw last week. So do you have any concerns that it ends up being more of a Seattle situation where both are kind of the problem? That's something that I think about, but I'm a big Chuba Hubbard fan. I like what the Panthers are doing, so I think it might limit upside, but they're both going to be high floor players.
Yeah, I think that's that first door, right? That's that first door that it's a 50-50 split. They're both probably, high-end RB3s. You can start them any week, but I think there'll also come a time potentially where the Panthers would say, hey, we got to go with the guy who's producing right now. And I know they paid Chuba a lot of money, but that didn't stop them a couple years ago from, playing Chuba over Miles Sanders after they gave him the bag as well. But Eric, it seems like you're kind of with Joe on this one, that maybe this is kind of a stalemate type of situation between the two running backs.
Yeah, when you say door number one, right? What that means is the most well-represented outcome on the range for this backfield, right? And specifically, tip of the hat to our friend and guest Joe Frick, because not only were they talking about figuring out how to split the workload amongst these two running backs, they specifically referenced the Seattle Seahawks backfield as the model that they're trying to base off their decision off of. So it looks like it's going to be a tough scene for you there. One of the trophies that we can point to is yours truly saying to sell Rico Dowdle 2 weeks ago, when you probably could have gotten a top 18 receiver for him, give or take. Look, if you're taking any action on the Panthers backfield, this is probably the right one, right? I just don't think that outcome that you're looking for is all that likely to come to pass.
Okay. We also got some questions coming in from Smitty and Chase. We'll get to those in just a little while. But first, Eric, I want to get to your buy that is coming at the wide receiver position that we actually have mentioned in a trade question here from Chase Hunter.
Ooh, yeah. So I am going out and trying to acquire Rome Odunze wherever I can. Came out and absolutely set the world on fire to start the season. And then over the last 2 weeks has put up back-to-back 5 fantasy point outings. And in turn, people are wondering post-bye, is this Colston Loveland starting to eat away at him? Is this Luther Burden starting to eat away at him? What's going on there? And I think a lot of it is just kind of game-to-game variance. The most material change to his usage over that stretch of games is they're targeting him downfield far more often than they were to start the season. And so just by nature, those are passes that are harder to complete. They're going to have a lower catch rate overall and in turn lead to these swings, right? But if you look at these two kind of floor performances, one was a complete blowout against the New Orleans Saints where they did not throw the ball very much. The second was a game that he actually had a long touchdown called back by way of penalty, right? So there are going to be some Rome Odunze managers that are feeling a little shaky in their boots. And if you can go and get him for 80, 85 cents on the dollar, I think you do it.
Yeah, I had yesterday in the Fantasy Pros chat someone come in and say, I'm almost ready to drop Rome Odunze. Like, people are really frustrated. He let them down in 2 big spots. Joe, would you make this trade for that Chase Hunter is proposing, trading Josh Jacobs for Odunze? I'm going to imagine that is Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I mean, assuming that it's not Hunter Henry taking Derrick Henry, you get Lamar coming back off an injury this week. I think that's going to do wonders for that Baltimore offense. You also look at Derrick Henry's schedule coming up. It is unbelievably juicy. I think he's got Miami next week. They've got a lot of easy matchups that are going into the playoffs. And I think Rome Odunze is going to bounce back as well. To kind of talk about more what Eric said. Even in this last couple game stretch, he's still getting targeted over 20% of the time. The player that's been phased out of this offense is honestly DJ Moore. And yes, they will use the tight ends from time to time, but Rome, this offense is running through him. And for whatever reason, Swift has been way above expectations for what we've thought that was going to be coming into him. So I think that's kind of had an impact. They're just running the ball really well right now, but Rome's still that dude. I'm not wavering from him. So I do like Josh Jacobs a lot. I like what he does for that Green Bay offense, but I think that you're getting 2 really solid pieces back. So I would take that deal.
Okay, let's get down and dirty with my final buy low target. And this is a lot like my call of Travis Hunter a few weeks ago here, gents, where I'm taking a shot on a high draft capital wide receiver, and I'm trading a ham sandwich and a pack of Marby Reds to get it done because it's not going to cost much. This guy might be on the waiver wire as well. It's Keon Coleman of the Buffalo Bills. We're likely going to see one of 2 paths for the second half this season for Keon Coleman. One of those paths is Keon Coleman continuing to not produce, and we can write him off as a bust. Or door 2, he starts to break out down the stretch, kind of sort of like we started to see Quentin Johnston at times last season. I prefer to be optimistic about it and go with the latter. The separation, it hasn't gotten better. That's the big talking point right now on Bill's Twitter. They are absolutely peeved off at this guy. They're already writing him off. However, he has still gotten a 20% target share, a 30.4% first read share, the 25th best in the NFL, and he is averaging 4 receptions per game as well. The Bills' schedule to bring us home looks like this: the Panthers, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Bucks, Texans, Lurs, Bengals, Pats, Brown, and Eagles. So I think that they're going to have to throw in a good deal of those matchups. I also think that the Bills had to have known that they need to spend that bye week trying to get Keon Coleman more ways involved, especially not just down the field. Like, if you look at this guy's route tree, it's a bit junky, right? It's a low percentage passes. It's high, high value touches, but at the same time, it's low, just low percentage that he's going to get these passes to the house. So for me, I really like him starting this week. X receivers against Carolina over the past month. We had Lazard go for 2 for 16 last week. Okay, whatever. It's the Jets. They suck. George Pickens, 9 for 168 and 1. Jalen Waddle, 6 for 110 and 1. And Stephon Diggs, 6 for 101. So with Josh Palmer still banged up, I'm expecting Keon to play close to 90% of the snaps once again. So I'm all in on Keon Coleman and giving up basically nothing, or maybe even just putting a thick waiver wire bid on him if he is on the wire right now. Eric, any issue for you with me going up for one of Steve Lawson's guys and putting a little flag plant here on Keon Coleman second half?
Yeah, my biggest issue is that you wait until Steve's not here to go
Let's
and target the guy that he's banging the drum up for all offseason and into the early part of the season. Not really going to find any pushback here, right? The foundation of this argument is the price is right. I think you can get him for next to nothing, and he very much so has the skill set to be the most explosive receiver in this offense. The open question, and it's been the case for the Bills for the last couple of seasons, is they just annoyingly distribute the ball to every single player on their roster, right? But if nothing else, of these wide receivers, Keon Coleman is one of the two that's out there on two receiver sets, right? So he's going to see the most snaps, which in an offense like this should lend itself to the most scoring potential. But there will be ebbs and flows along the way for sure.
Joe, would you give up anything for Keon Coleman? Like, I'm thinking maybe like a Bam Knight could get it done, or someone kind of that ilk.
Yeah, I think the thing when you're looking at this trade is this is an upside play. And whatever you're going to give up is probably going to be on your bench. And unless you're in an extreme circumstance, you're not going to play that person. So for me, it's like early in the season, he had the kind of the big game week 1. He kind of fizzled out a little bit. If you drop them and you're like, I don't want to deal with that, fine. But now we're getting to the point where it's like, how do you give yourself the best chance to win? You want to have lottery tickets on this. We know he's getting the snap share. He's getting the target percentage. Hasn't translated into fantasy points, but do you want to keep him on your bench, or are you going to have like Cameron Johnson kick returner for the Buccaneers? Like, it's like, let's just be reasonable with it. And you can kind of chase the points, but I would rather chase the opportunities and see if somebody can grow into that as a second-year wide receiver. We've seen players like Quentin Johnson this year is written off. Wasn't sure if he's going to be able to do a whole lot, and he's really blown up this year quite a bit. So I think that, it's definitely worth the risk, and what you're giving up, I mean, it's worth that chance.
What kind of sandwich would you give up for it, Joe? Would you? I don't know if I'd give up like a Permane style sandwich.
Oh, you got to give him that chip chopped ham, man. Come on.
There you go. There you go. That's fine.
That's right.
Have you ever had Rudy sub? You ever had a Rudy sub, Joe?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm Eric. You probably, even when you come to Pennsylvania, you go to Philly, so you don't even know the beauty of Rudy sub or the Permane sandwiches yet. But we'll get you there, buddy. We'll get you there. Don't worry.
Let's go. Next time I'm in the Keystone State, it's on.
Okay. Joe, I know you live in Ohio now. Do they've got Permane brothers over there too?
If you go closer to like Youngstown, we do.
Okay.
But I think like the novelty of it, it's, for me, I think they're a little bit overrated. Pepe's is better.
Pepe's? What is Pepe's?
It's in downtown. They were the restaurant that like made the Roethlisberger whenever he came into the league.
Really?
Yeah, so they're really solid. They're downtown. Far and beyond, if you're looking for sandwich, great stuff. But yeah, Permane's has its time and place. Usually, like that karaoke night that we talk about, perfect Permane's time. But on a day-to-day,
that was my fiance and I's first date with Steel City sandwiches with a knockoff of Permane's. And
there you go.
I don't think she's ever forgiven me. I just wanted to see, what that mouth do, right? So let's keep it moving here. Joe, you have a sell candidate, and it comes out in the Windy City, my friend.
Yeah, we touched on this one a little bit, but everybody's a bit surprised on DeAndre Swift here. He's going to be my sell high candidate. You are seeing this team move to more of a 50-50 split in the backfield. Week 7, Kyle Monungai, the fun guy, 46.3% snap share to DeAndre Swift's 52.2. Ultimately, both were high-end running back plays last week, 20.8 points for Swift, 17.4 from Monungai. But if we're looking ahead at the schedule, if they're going to continue with this split, kind of some juicier matchups between Baltimore and Cincinnati in the next 2 weeks, although Baltimore in the last 3 weeks has tightened up against running backs. But you're seeing a lot of negative differentials in terms of like run defenses, a lot of really tough fronts. So the Giants, Vikings, Steelers, Eagles, Packers, Cleveland Browns, Packers again. It's just, if he's not really getting the receiving work, which we would have expected from him, one target last week that he took for 23 yards, that was really it. Then it could be tough sledding against the ground. I do think they're going to try to get Rome more involved in that passing offense, more involved as they get into the later parts of the year. And so I think for me, people are really high on him. They're seeing this big point total that he had, but I think it exceeds kind of what we know Swift to be, which is an RB2. If you can kind of use him as a tier up right now, it's something I jump all over.
Okay. Eric, would you try to maybe tear up off Swift right now? I mean, the efficiencies actually looked kind of better in the games that Monongai has played a bigger role. It almost feels like he is kind of being that Gibbs of this Ben Johnson offense, which is kind of a good look for him. But at the same time, we know that usually throughout the full season, Swift's efficiency usually hits a wall at some point, a lot like Travis Etienne down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I struggle with this one. I mean, look, if you can get a meaningful return and offer for it, I think you're perfectly justified in doing it. If not, I'd be happy to hang on to DeAndre Swift, right? Granted, we've probably seen, if not his best game, close to his best game of the season. But I don't necessarily worry that he falls off of the cliff, right? I think we can see a Detroit Lions light version of a two-way split that's effective for both players. The other thing that I would be wary of, or at least offer as a word of caution, DeAndre Swift has already had his bye week. And I see time and time again people considering trades where they're sending away a player who's had their bye and they're taking on a player who is yet to have it. And while that might seem a bit nitpicky, very likely the trade is going to be close enough to where something along those lines could swing it one way or the other. So you get a good offer, pull the trigger, but not someone that I am urgently trying to move off my rosters.
Eric, who are you trying to move off your roster right now?
Yeah, I mentioned this concept, at least in passing, with DeAndre Swift. Generally, I like to shop around guys that are coming off of their best game of the season, or in DeVonta Smith's case, the best game of their career.
Yeah.
Absolutely exploded last week, north of 30 fantasy points, depending on your format. And I do not think that there's a world where anything like this sustains, or this type of expanded role in the offense necessarily sustains, right? If you look at Smith's game log in particular, and you go back and watch that tape, 11 receptions, 183 yards, and a score, 11 targets, 9 receptions. One of those was an 80-yard touchdown where his defender absolutely got smoked on the double move, Isiah Rodgers, and then missed the tackle that he had him completely wrapped up with to prevent the touchdown. You normalize that 180-yard touchdown, and all of a sudden we're looking at much more of a typical DeVonta Smith type of day, right? So I think that he will have more days along the lines of 6-7 targets and being able to haul in most of them in that kind of short to intermediate phase. He'll, be targeted for a chunk play every now and again, but I don't think we see the Eagles offense suddenly become this vertical unit, and in turn, that's going to make this type of outcome a pretty low likelihood one. So if you can go out and get someone lathered up off of a 33-point performance and get someone that's got a little bit more of a stable baseline, that would be the type of target that I'm looking for in moving on from Smith.
Frick, it was so frustrating because on Sunday morning on the FP Twitch channel, I advised so many people to sit DeVonta Smith. I mean, they had really good options, and I just couldn't bring myself to put him in the lineup. And now it feels like we're back to this point where he's almost a must start, but he could give us some duds again. I just don't know what to make of this Philly pass offense that for 6 games looked atrocious. And then we had arguably the best passing performance from a Philadelphia Eagles quarterback since Nick Foles and Donovan McNabb were running around there.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. I was also in the receivers camp. Typically, the way that Philly works is if they're going up against zone, which the Vikings play a ton, it's a Dallas Goedert day. And when they go up against man-to-man, the receivers tend to do a little bit better. So I was like, all right, well, with that and the fact that they just haven't been passing well at all, I don't see myself playing either one. I do feel like DeVonta Smith is kind of played better than A.J. Brown. They sort of force it to A.J. Brown a little bit more so that he doesn't rip his book in half. But yeah, it definitely caught me by surprise as well. But it is going to be one of those things where you can't really chase those points. We know the identity of that team. And I think that where I'm really struggling is like, I know the whole like 370 touches thing with Saquon, but they have not been able to run the ball successfully. And I think it's more of an offensive line problem than it is a Saquon problem, honestly.
Yeah, so that's a great point, man. I think Saquon's another guy, like, you would hope you could probably go buy low on him right now, but it's still like what you'd probably have to give up is a pretty penny still, and it's kind of risky. Like, he looks more like a low-end RB one than the high-end RB1 who drafted him as Eric. So
Yeah, that buy low window is opening for Saquon Barkley, but he has the name value that's going to make it hard to get much of a discount on him, right? But to Frick's point, currently tied for 71st in yards before contact on average, getting 1.8 yards before.
Yeah, they're missing Becton big
every
time
he carries the ball.
Yeah, and can we stop with the freaking running 4 tush pushes in a row? Like, what are we doing? Like, that is, you want to keep this play in the game and not make a bush league, and then you're doing that, and your offensive linemen are jumping every play. It's just ridiculous.
This is the point, right? Like, you already know that you're on thin ice in terms of like the Q rating and the favorability on this play, and you're just gonna march down the field on an entire drive of nothing but tush pushes. Like, they're
I will also say that given the nature of the Steagles heritage, I feel like the Steelers shouldn't have been called for that false start last week when they tried to do it. It's like we should have been like out of proxy for that. We should have been given like the false start pass. But, it is what it is. First time in Pennsylvania history, a false start on a tush push. It was crazy.
Yeah, right. Let's go to my last sell here. It's Keenan Allen of the Chargers. Allen really pulled the Frankenstein last week, came back to life after three pretty mediocre performances in a row. And it was a huge stat line too, right, boys? 14 targets, 11 receptions, 119 yards, and a touchdown. However, that came in a game where the Chargers threw the ball 55 times. They were in a negative game script from the word go. Also in that game, and maybe most importantly, we had Odunze Gadsden II, the talented rookie tight end out of Syracuse, break out to the tune of 9 targets, 7 receptions, 164 yards, and a touchdown. That's the fourth highest. That's the fourth target on this offense now that I think we need to feed here. Keenan Allen is up to wide receiver 7 on the season. Go use that to your advantage right now and get something more stable and potentially younger for the haul, because I honestly am a little worried now that we knew one week that Ladd McConkey might be out of the mix, or QJ or Keenan Allen, they probably weren't all three going to produce. And now we have a fourth target in here as well. So I'd go kick the tires on Odunze for Keenan Allen right now. Maybe I'd put Keenan Allen with a running back and go see what the Saquon manager is doing right now, how he's feeling, just to give out a couple names we've already talked about. Eric, are you kind of on this train as well with me that maybe now is the time to get out of Allen while the good is good?
Yeah. Keenan Allen was someone I was saying that you should sell back in our week 3 or week 4 show, right? So happy to welcome you aboard the bandwagon. The thing that's different now is he now is off that spike game, right? So I think your window is opening up a little bit. I'll scoff at the idea of trying to flip him into Odunze. If anybody wants to trade Odunze for Keenan Allen, hit me up. I got a spot in my league for you anytime you want it. The Saquon Barkley concept might not be the craziest if you're offering a starting caliber running back, right? Paired up with Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm. Joe, how would you rank the Chargers receiving options, including the tight end, rest of season?
Oh man, I know that the hot thing to do is to kind of say Gadsden is the guy right now.
Yeah,
he's still fourth.
Okay.
It is. He's still gonna be fourth for me. If we're gonna go straight up on just who would I feel the most comfortable starting, I still think Ladd is going to be number 1. He's come into his own, and I think that it wasn't a lack of opportunity or anything the first couple weeks of the season. QJ was doing his QJ thing, breaking some long ones, which he does really well. He offers you the most upside on a weekly basis, but it's going to be the most volatile. So I would actually put him third, just because it's you don't know what you're going to get. Keenan Allen's going to be your safe floor guy. He might pop off for a touchdown. I'm really big on the high floor kind of player. So Keenan Allen's too, but yeah, Ladd's there for a reason. They're going to continue to have him in the offense. And just looking at that receiving, or not the receiving group, but the running back group with Kamani Vidal leading that attack, they're going to use short passes to run the ball basically. And that just feeds into a lot of what Ladd's going to do.
Okay. Let's get a couple questions here before we move forward in the program. First one is from the Smitty asking, would you trade for Jalen Coker? I mean, Eric, I feel like I'm not like trying to go out and honestly trade for the Panthers second wide receiver. I know we usually see these slot type merchants do really well with the red rifle at the helm. We'll probably see Andy Dalton out there for a couple weeks, but I don't think I'm necessarily giving anything up for Jalen Coker. Are you?
I mean, I like the idea of Jalen Coker as someone to stash or hold, but considering that he is on 12% of rosters, you probably don't have to trade him. You can just go put a waiver claim in on him, or maybe even wait till waivers run and pick him up for free on Wednesday morning.
Well, I think the problem too is that if you are in a league where somebody does have him, they're like a certified cokehead, and they're not. They're not trading him.
Yes.
So, yeah. If you have to trade for him, it's not happening.
Yeah, good point. Good point. They've held on to him this long. Shout out to our guy Albert saying good evening, IBT. Good evening, Albert. Great to see you. Ben saying Gadsden, the godsend. Yeah, man, he was pretty great. If you had many DFS lineups or any wager and exposure to him, you were certainly happy on Sunday. And Rachel checking in saying hello, friends. Hello, Rachel. Great to see you as well. I think Rachel was there. She probably remembers your karaoke performance there, Joe, when you were tearing it up. So even though you don't, you have witnesses. There's got to be videos. Actually, I have a video. I took a video of you sing karaoke, and I gave it to Tyler to use for your guys' show intro. He probably
and
didn't.
You know what he did? Nothing.
Didn't even show it to you. Yeah, didn't even show it to you. Wow. What a
constant
friend.
Constant flake.
What a friend. We also have Jalad asking here in the chat, boys, start Jordan Addison or Michael Pittman. Joe, would you rather start Jordan Addison, who, I mean, he's been great since he's been back, but there are a lot of question marks there. Will it be JJ McCarthy? What's happening there? We also have Michael Pittman, who has been red hot, found the end zone again for the Colts last week. He's going up in a matchup against the Titans, which should be easy money, but maybe game script goes away from him. So how do you feel about Jordan Addison? He's going up against the Chargers on Thursday night, or Michael Pittman against the Tennessee Titans?
Yeah, so it boils down to two things that have nothing to do with either one of these players. The first one is if JJ's playing, I can't play Addison. Okay. I have no faith in that passing attack if McCarthy is starting at QB. The second thing, and this is going to be on the Pittman side, Josh Downs was actually seeing an uptick in receptions and kind of work in that offense the last couple weeks before that concussion. He didn't play last week. That allowed Pittman to kind of usurp that like target hog kind of role. Like you mentioned, Indianapolis has a slightly better matchup. I'm going to go with the assumption that Downs does play. JJ does not. Give me Jordan Addison this week.
Okay. Are you as well, Eric, on Addison over Pittman?
I am not. I've got Pittman 4 spots ahead of Jordan Addison in my rankings. We do have breaking news. It is going to be Carson Wentz starting this week on Thursday night. I think that the matchup for Michael Pittman is significantly better than that of Jordan Addison going up against the Chargers. Pittman draws the Titans. And much like I was in lockstep with Frick for his Ladd McConkey decision, I'm just going to follow the volume, right? Yes, the spike weeks are there for Jordan Addison. He's got that type of profile, but also he could flip around and turn in a 4-catch game where you're not happy that you started them all. So I'll go with this white hot Colts offense that is absolutely setting the world on fire in terms of scoring capability, and the guy who is averaging a boatload of targets as the primary receiving option in that offense.
Fantastic. Smitty, Chase, Jalad, Albert, thank you guys all so much for your questions. Keep them coming. We can answer some more later in the show. And let's turn the page to some sure thing sleepers, because we all know we need some sleeper starts this week as Buy-Mageddon approaches.
It's the sure thing. Sleepers of the week.
All right, Buy NATO is upon us. We need sleeper starts, and we need them in a hurry. These are wide receivers who are outside the top 36 and also running backs in that vicinity. Top 15 quarterbacks, top 15 tight ends not allowed for this segment. So we're digging deep, and especially with 6 teams on bye, we are going extremely deep down into the cut of things. And Joe Frick, let's start with you. Who's your sure thing sleeper of week 8?
Sure thing sleeper for me, undrafted free agent Tez Johnson, Oregon Duck for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New Orleans Saints. If we look at what happened with the unfortunate like a small return for Mike Evans immediately breaks the collarbone, essentially ends the 1,000-yard streak that he had for his entire career. Hate to see that happening, but what's interesting is people were looking at Tez Johnson going into this week because of all of the injury concerns. You had the hamstring for Egbuka. You had the issues with Mike Evans with the hamstring. Surprisingly, they both played. When they were both in the lineup, basically Tez Johnson became a rotating receiver in 3-receiver sets. Once that injury happened, he basically took on the full slot role for that team. So they will basically rotate Sterling Shepard and Cameron Johnson when they need to. But Egbuka is going to be the guy. He'll be in the X. Cameron Johnson and Sterling Shepard will rotate in the Y. And then you're going to see Tez Johnson take over the slot. He had 9 targets last week. I like the matchup against the New Orleans Saints. And just from a coverage perspective, so far this season, Tez Johnson has been most profitable against cover 3. He's averaging 6.62 points per route run for fantasy points. And the New Orleans Saints run that coverage 42% of the time. So I like Tez Johnson this week. Back-to-back wide receiver 17 performances in PPR. Let's see if he can keep it going.
Okay. Yeah, Tez Johnson. He is someone from a prospect standpoint that I think I was a little unfair to because the size was just absolutely absurdly small. He's not the fastest guy, but he's kind of like he's doing the same similar things that he did at Oregon where he's just shifty. He makes guys miss. He gets open. He finds separation. He finds creases in the defense. So I like Tez Johnson. He's a guy I'm actually going out tonight in my league of record and trying to get because I think I need a sleeper start, and I think it was going to be Tez Johnson for me this week. I lost Mike Evans in that league, so you got to do what you can do, and I think Tez Johnson's a good one. Eric, you also have a sleeper wide receiver for the week. Who is it?
Yeah, going down and dirty, the down and out Miami Dolphins offense offers me Malik Washington. Look, it has been a tough stretch here for the Miami Dolphins, but quietly since Tyreek Hill went down, all of a sudden Malik Washington is starting to get some of that opportunity that we were hoping would go his way. If you look back over his last 5 games, has surpassed 5 targets in 4 of them. He's got 2 back-to-back 5s and an 8 last week. So getting a bit of opportunity. I like the game script in this one. We all think that Atlanta is going to absolutely dump truck Miami. So there should be plenty of throwing as soon as the second quarter or the beginning of the second half. But also the way that they're using him is really interesting, right? Over that 4-game stretch, he has 5 red zone targets. So he brings a bit of interesting scoring upside. And lastly, we have been making hay all season long by targeting the player who is not in AJ Terrell's coverage for these Atlanta Falcons this week. That is Malik Washington. You also get the added bonus that the non-zero chance that Jalen Waddle gets traded after this week, you now have the de facto wide receiver 1 in Miami already on your roster.
Yeah, and we also have Darren Waller, who probably not going to be up for this one with the pec injury. And, who knows if Waddle's going to be 100%. It looks like he might, he's probably trending towards playing. I haven't seen anything come out differently, but, Waddle one shot and he could be out of this game. So I like that play with Malik Washington as well. Hopefully it's better than, the week after the Tyreek Hill injury. A lot of people fired him up. He was quite disappointing, but hopefully this time it's a little better output for Malik Washington, a guy I have stashed in a couple dynasty leagues right now on the taxi squad. For my sleeper of the week, I'm going with Marvin Mims of the Denver Broncos against the Cowboys. Although he's still pigeonholed into that role, running about half the snaps for Denver, Marvin Mims has been producing. He took 7 targets for 6 receptions for 85 yards this past week. In addition to being 15th in the NFL in deep targets with 8, he's also 7th in design targets. So seeing at least 1 design target per game, seeing those deep shots as well. He is running just 22.1% of snaps out of the slot. So we saw last week what Mims can do down the sideline when Denver needs a play. He was the guy who came up big for them in that late game against the New York Giants. Denver gets Cowboys this weekend here. And while Dallas has tightened up a little bit in their secondary as of late, they're still allowing the most fantasy points per game on the season to opposing wide receivers. Also, from our friend of the show, Jordan Vanek on Twitter, he said the Cowboys had an uptick in man coverage rate last weekend. 2025 leaders for yards per reception route ran here versus man for Denver, Marvin Mims. That was this way in 2025 and in 2024 as well. So he's a man coverage beater. Broncos should be thrown to keep pace with Dak in this one. So give me Marvin Mims as a borderline wide receiver 3 start in Mageddon in week number 8. Joe, any thoughts on Marvin Mims?
Yeah, I like it. Like you mentioned, Denver's going to have to throw the ball. It's funny. I was kind of getting worried about Bo Nix last week, and then he just managed to drop 33 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
and it's like he's not going to be able to wait that long with how well Dallas can score. But like you said, there's a lot of good things there. Last 3 weeks, Dallas has given up 39.8 points per game to wide receivers. That's going against the Jets, the Panthers, and the beat-up Commanders. So it's not like they're playing world beaters out there, tough matchups. They're pretty much the fantasy dream. You can play anyone in the Dallas offense and probably get points, and you want to play anybody that's playing against them. So I like the pick.
Except Luke McCaffrey. Let's chill out with the LCM nickname going around there. I don't think he's earned the nickname and the 3 letters. Yeah, what do you think, Eric? No Luke McCaffrey stand from you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's perfect that he's brunette and CMC is blonde, and it just makes the beautiful Super Saiyan comparison. But I think we're gonna have to wait a few weeks before Luke becomes LMC.
Yeah, agreed there. Boys, let's go ahead and round out the show. Some between bets, our favorite week 8 props and game picks coming right at you.
Between bets. Between bets.
It's between bets. It's our week 8 best bets for the NFL betting markets. We're going to go through the ATS market. We'll also touch on some money line plays and, of course, some total picks and player props. We'll round it out with our touchdown calls. Eric, how was the betting card for you in week 7? I got absolutely raked over the coals. First really tough week for me. One, I had Mike Evans on Monday night. That sucked. Also had the rare player prop under on Charbonnet on Monday night. That did not come through either. And I also paired Quinshon Judkins instead of going with the rushing attempts in the parlay. I put Dylan Gabriel to have 1+ passing touchdown. Only quarterback yet this season who had not done that on the Dolphins. Obviously, the rain came down. But so I'm hurting. I'm licking my wounds a little bit here. What about yourself, my friend?
Bit of a change of pace for me last week. I've been crushing the top line bets throughout the majority of the beginning of the season. Last week, split ticket 1-1. Thought I was going to get a nice backdoor cover out of Tampa Bay, getting 6.5 points at Detroit off that early line. That didn't come to pass, but made up for it with Philadelphia laying 1.5 points against Minnesota. Props still seem to evade me a little bit, 1 and 2 in that regard, but then totally made up for it in the anytime touchdown market, 3 for 3 with Quinton Johnston, Quinshon Judkins, and Michael Pittman all finding the box.
Love to see it. Joe, what about you? How are the betting streets treating you in week 7?
Yeah, betting street's not too bad. Against the spread, I went 5-2 last week, so that felt pretty good.
Nice.
Props, pretty horrendous. A lot of my stuff was surrounding Drake London. I thought he was going to be having a huge game last week. Did not fly. It seems like anytime that Mooney's in the game, it's just like it's no longer fun for Drake London. I also thought Nico was going to do a little bit more. He had the opportunities, and then the concussion happened. It was like, all right, it's not going to happen. So.
It's when it's time just to go to bed, right?
And I did it. And I like watched the game end, and I was like, why did I just do this?
I shut it off at halftime. I had it going in the bedroom, and I was like, no, I'm good on this. Zach Charbonnet had like 39 rushing yards, and he needed to go under 40. I was like, I think that's it for me, folks. So, Eric, you don't have those problems, though, being in what are you, Central Time, Mountain Time, something like that?
Central Time. So only an hour. Still pretty late, but all the better to stay up late and watch my home team get completely dump trucked and watch us waste the talent of CJ Stroud on national television. That was pretty sick.
Yeah, it was sick. And you know what else is sick? Cashing some bets here in week
Yep.
number 8. Joe Frick, start us out with your pick for the ATS market.
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit. We were expecting a dump truck performance on the Miami Dolphins. Give me Atlanta Falcons 7.5 over the Dolphins. It's minus 100 on FanDuel right now. They are not going to be able to contain Bijan Robinson. We talked about it before the show. Like the anytime touchdown bet for him is through the roof. I'm sure even for him to put up 2 is probably pretty unreasonable. It kind of feels like Ashton Genty last year at Boise State, where it was like, oh, like I guess I'm gonna have to bet 4 touchdowns today to like kind of get some money out of this sort of thing. But I think that they're going to be able to pretty much do anything they want at will. They had the tough game last week. They're going to be at home against the Dolphins, who are just in all sorts of shambles right now. So I really like that play.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't bet this if Mike McDaniel got fired, just because the dead cat bounce is real every single week. But he's still there, so I think it's going to continue a time to continue to fade this Miami Dolphins team. And Eric, you're staying with the NFC South when you're throwing out your best bet for against spread.
Man, I will never learn. I'm going right back to the well with Tampa Bay, the team that bit me last week. In this case, laying 4.5 points on the road at the New Orleans Saints. You can get that over at FanDuel for a nice price tag of minus 106. I think some of this is just the market overreacting to a bad game on Monday Night Football in one of those island games, right? If you think about just in a vacuum, if Tampa Bay was not off of an absolute mollywhopping by the Detroit Lions, one of the better teams in the NFC, they are very likely a close to 6.5, 7-point favorite against a pretty hapless New Orleans Saint team. So I think this one will be relatively closer than it should be. The Saints have a little bit of a fight in them overall, but realistically, this is just taking advantage of a bit of an overcorrection in the market as these lines open early this week.
Joe, take us to your favorite total this week, which comes for a Thursday night football clash, which we just got words it will be Carson Wentz in there under center for Kevin O'Connell and company.
Yeah, and this was one of the reasons that I took the over at 44.5. It's a minus 112 on FanDuel right now.
That's I
was fairly confident that JJ McCarthy wasn't going to play. I think that was baked in a little bit, that there was the potential for it. If you look at the trends, Minnesota has gone and hit the over 5 out of 6 games they've played in this year. The Chargers can't really run the ball right now, so there's going to be a lot going on. And these Thursday night football games, they used to be kind of like snooze fest, but they've been popping off like crazy this year. So I felt like 44.5 isn't really that crazy of a line. A lot of people talk about Minnesota as this like very vaulting defense, but in the last 3 weeks people have been having their way with them in different ways. So I think that's going to continue. I think that it's going to be a high scoring game, and hopefully I can stay awake from it because I'm still going to be recovering from this snooze fest from Houston last night. So hopefully I can catch up on sleep the rest of this week to get ready for it.
Well, and look, we know the Chargers can't really run the ball. They can't play the style of offense and defense they'd like to do. That's just controlling the ball and running the clock down. So I actually really like this over as well for you, Joe Frick, on Thursday night. Eric, you're going with an under, though, in a game where we might see Lamar Jackson. We might not see Lamar Jackson, kind of up in the air right now.
Yeah, much like Joe, I am following my intuition on some quarterback availability when I go out and place this ticket. Realistically, probably putting down close to a half unit on this one, sort of gauging it back a little bit, because I am very concerned about the availability of Lamar Jackson for this game. And if Lamar Jackson is not starting, if it's Cooper Rush under there, I don't think we're going to be anywhere near a 50.5 point total on this game, right? So this is really just kind of reading the tea leaves, mainly because the Baltimore Ravens, coming off of their bye week, still listed Lamar Jackson as out for their organization and their practice on Monday, which is a huge red flag for me. We will learn more tomorrow as we get more practice reports. But if nothing else, it seems like that would have him trending on the wrong side of questionable. So it's worth for me to go out and speculate less than a unit on his availability against the Bears this week.
Is that also why you're going with the Chicago Bears money line plus 230 right now against the Ravens?
That is precisely why. The price itself plus 230 over at DraftKings is moving. When I put this ticket in earlier, I got it at plus 260.
Wow.
I think that this number will go down dramatically if Lamar Jackson is in fact ruled out. But also specifically or particularly because of the sieve that is the Baltimore Ravens defense, even if he plays, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Chicago is able to keep pace with them and win out in a squeaker. So if that's the case, looking at a plus 230 or plus 260 ticket for what should be a competitive game either way, if not a laugher, if the Bears are placing Cooper Rush, is exactly the type of wager I want to start my portfolio out this week.
Okay, let's move to the player prop market where I have 3 for you, including Keon Coleman over reception or yards. Again, this is early in the week, so we don't have official lines at most books as of yet. I bet on Keon in week 1. It was really like the only week that would have probably worked out in your favor. I shared this earlier in the show, but X receivers against Carolina over the past month. We had Allen Lazard last week. Let's throw that out, 2 for 16. George Pickens, though, 2 weeks ago for the Cowboys, 9 for 168 and 1. Waddle, 6 for 110 and 1. Diggs, 6 for 101. Joshua Palmer still banged up. I'm expecting Keon Coleman to see 90+% of snaps in this one. I also think that the Bills use the bye week to their advantage, get him more involved. So depending on where things open, I might even advise paying up a little bit of juice if you can get a 2.5 reception line on Keon Coleman. He's hit that line in all 6 games so far this season. If not, I'll probably just go with both the yards and on the receptions at 3.5 as well. I also take Isiah Pacheco over rushing yards here. The Chiefs are 9.5 to 10.5 point home favorites against the Commanders this week. And this could be a really, really positive game script for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that should mean a ton of running the ball here. Washington has allowed the 6th most fantasy points to running backs over the past 4 weeks. If you shorten that span up to 2 weeks, they've allowed the most rushing yards in the NFL. Pacheco, he has seen carries go up the past 2 weeks to season highs. The Prize Picks line currently 45.5. So if we get 45.5 at most books, I think that should be an auto bet for a running back that has hit that total in 2 straight weeks. We've also seen running backs against the Commanders hit that in 5 straight games against them. Now, I'll also give you Chigoziem Okonkwo. This is my dirty dog of the week here, going over receiving yards or receptions. The Colts have allowed the most receiving yards and the 2nd most receptions to tight ends over the past 4 weeks. Game logs in that span, including Odunze Gadsden, the 2nd, 7 for 164 and 1. Trey McBride, 8 for 72 and 1. Albert O, who knew Albert O was still in the NFL? 5 for 36 in that same game. Ian Thomas, 3 for 20. The Rams didn't do much with their tight ends when they played the Commanders about a month ago. But 1 week before that, Chigoziem Okonkwo and the Titans played him. 5 for 66 on them. So even with last week's stinker, Chig, he still hit this BP projected line of 31.5 yards and 3.5 receptions in 4 out of his last 6 games. So give me Chigoziem Okonkwo, give me some Isiah Pacheco, and give me some Keon Coleman. Maybe they're all dirty dogs. Honestly, they're all kind of gross, but I like them quite a bit this week. Joe, where are you going with your player props this week?
Oh, yeah. So let's see here. So first one I got for you, I am going to keep riding that Atlanta train. So the first one I have is Michael Penix over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Even in the game last week where it was absolutely horrendous weather here in Cleveland, you couldn't even see outside. They have given up 20.1 points per game to quarterbacks in the last 3 weeks in fantasy. That is the 4th highest total amongst defenses. A lot of people are pointing to that rushing attack, which they've also struggled against, as we all know, but they've just been leaking from all sides. So I do think that they're going to primarily try to stop Bijan. I think this is a great get-right game for Drake London. So I do think Penix is going to hit that. It's minus 107 via DraftKings. I like that one quite a bit. The other one, I think this is going to contradict everything I said in the offseason, but as fantasy analysts, we weren't wrong. We just got new information.
Yes, sir.
So this one here, Cam Scatterboot over 55.5 is minus 128 via sleeper. He's had at least 60 rushing yards in the last 5 weeks, including over 90 yards against the Eagles 2 weeks ago. I don't think that he will put up the numbers that he did with Jalen Carter returning, but I do think that 60 yards is a pretty safe bet. So getting it at 55.5 feels like easy money.
Love that. Also, love the comment here from Geis saying, hope y'all held Travis Hunter. Look, man, I didn't just hold Travis Hunter. I went out and bought him a couple weeks ago. I'm the conductor of the Travis Hunter mid-season hype train, buddy. You can go back 2 episodes ago on the IBT playlist here. You can go to the main page on the YouTube channel. We have a short about it too. I've been driving this train, brother, so I'm with you. I'm glad that you held on as well. I also sent him out there in a couple leagues last week, so I was very, very happy. The only thing I didn't do was bet him for the anytime touchdown, which I thought maybe would happen overseas, and it certainly did. So, Joe, I love those props from you. Love all the plays, guys. Let's get to the touchdown call contest leaderboard where oh my, did we have some shifting in the standings. There are a lot of people who had 3, 4 touchdowns get home last week, and it starts up at the top of the board with our friend Trav, who is now with 12. Rob comes in with 10. James comes all the way from the bottom 3 to the top 3 with 10. I mean, James, I can't even remember who he had, but it was just raining touchdowns for him. Steve and myself, we sit on the plus side of the board right now with 9, but we are tied with Trash and Eric, who made up some ground with 9 as well. Eric got 3 from Quinshaw Judkins last week. Trash got a couple from Trey McBride as well. And then Jake Perry. Oh, Jake the Snake, baby. He fell all the way from the top 3 down to the bottom 3. And then Ben bringing up the rear here with 7. So, as our guest of honor, Joe Frick, you have the right of way to the board. You got to get on it. Who you going with for your TD calls for week 8, my friend?
All right. Yeah, no pressure. We can't be 11th because there's no glory in that. So
No.
The first one, we talked about this Denver and Dallas matchup already, but I think Cortland Sutton finds the end zone for the Denver Broncos. I think that both him, Mims are really strong plays. We've even seen Evan Ingram get more involved in that offense, but I think Cortland Sutton is going to find the end zone. 140 via DraftKings, so a plus 140 there. The second one I got, this is going to be in the Aaron Rodgers Bowl. He's just had some really big games in back-to-back weeks. First, he had the Icy Hot Bowl. Now he gets to go up against the Green Bay Packers. And every tight end on the team basically had a touchdown. Connor Hayward missed one that he should have had. But you had 4 tight end touchdowns last week. There is a secret tight end that no one really talks about that they have. His name's DK Metcalf, plus 135 via DraftKings. I think that he's going to find the end zone. He basically had a 4-game streak of touchdowns, was quiet last week. I think he gets back on it this week. And I think the Steelers are going to get it done. They got slapped in the face a little bit, more time to prepare, and all the fire Tomlin stuff will have to wait another week, I'm thinking. So.
Yeah, we've already had one coach in Pennsylvania fired this year, and I don't think we will be lucky enough to get a second one. So I put those on pause for sure. Eric, I've been making you go last lately because you've just been that bad at this contest, but you have certainly picked up the pace over the past 2 weeks. You're now tied with Steven and myself and our editor-in-chief at Trash Sandwiches. So take us away, my friend. Your 2 touchdown calls this week are?
Yeah, not everybody is going to start off the season betting these heavy favorites and going with their heavy arsenal to front run. Some of us are saving them for later in the year, and now is the time where I can continue my push. I will happily drink the minus 230 juice on Bijan Robinson, continuing to attack the Miami run defense that netted me 3 touchdowns with Quinshaw Judkins last week. I don't know if there's much more to be said other than the resistance will be roughly equivalent to that of a wet paper bag. For my plus money option, going to one of your guys, one of the former Nittany Lion proud Tyler Warren, a huge focal point of this Colts passing offense, and specifically when they get into scoring position, his red zone opportunity share is through the roof, not only for tight ends, but also as a receiver in general, right? So very much so has that scoring opportunity and upside. They are finding increasing ways to get the ball in his hand as a runner as well. So I actually like both my guys to have some multi-touchdown upside this week.
Yeah, I honestly want to go with Jonathan Taylor, but it was just too much juice. Next year, we're putting a cap at -200. Nothing past there. We didn't start doing it though.
As you drink all that juice to your top position on the leaderboard, all of a sudden once you play that,
Hey,
you
I've
wanna
never
put a
gone
cap
past
on it.
-150. That's been my
True.
my show. Oh, go back through
We
the
will
receipts.
investigate and report back next week.
I will say though, if you're a Tyler Warren manager or better, you better be in your seats at exactly 1:00 or 4:25 whenever that game kicks off. Because every time I come right back into the living room, I'm getting my midday snack or doing whatever other shenanigans I'm doing, and it's always Tyler Warren down the stretch, and he gets so many first read looks on that first drive of the game, and then they kind of go away from him a little bit. But I love watching it. I'm there for it.
Can we just talk about how deep into his bag Shane Steichen is this year?
It's out of control.
He is calling plays in the fashion that got him this job, that got Philly that Super Bowl when he was there. Like, it is wild to see what this man can do as a coach and as a play caller when his cupboards are stocked. It is so fun to watch the Colts this year.
Oh, it's such a bummer too, because the last 2 years I was so overly invested in the Colts, and then I got off the train 1 year too early. So shame on me. I'm going to stick at the tight end position though for my anytime touchdown. How's about this for plus money, Eric? Plus 450, Chigoziem Okonkwo anytime touchdown. Bet 365, baby. Fired up. 2 straight tight ends have scored on the Colts, and Chig is due. He hasn't found the end zone since week 12 of last year, only twice since week 1 of last year. This is what I call positive touchdown regression. I will say, though, if I can get Cam Scadaboo at plus money, I might change this. Follow along again in the IBT football family for my official picks. But Cam Scadaboo has scored in 4 of 6 games. And he also faces an Eagles defense that has allowed a running back to go for a touchdown in 6 of 7 games, 5 straight games. So Chigoziem Okonkwo, I'll definitely have it on the betting card regardless. That might be my official pick for this. But regardless, I'm also going to go James Cook, baby. I'm going to lay a couple units down on this as well, because Cook has found the end zone in 72% of games since week 1 of 2024. He hasn't hit pay dirt now in 2 straight games, but he gets a Panthers defense that has allowed a running back to score a touchdown in 4 straight games. So -140, it's a great number. I'm going to be drinking it. I bet I can get that boosted at DraftKings to close to plus money as well. So boys, there you have it for the touchdown calls. Again, if you want to get invested with the TD calls, head over there to the IBT football family on the In Between Media website. You're going to get access to our memorabilia giveaways, our conversation on Discord, our full betting cards, and entry into the TD contest, which is going to get you, if you are that lucky winner, you're going to win a plaque from Dynasty Decks and get some IBT media swag. So fun stuff happening over there in that channel all this time. And Joe, before we let you out of here, man, I got a question for you from the Smitty. Start Breece Hall or Rachaad White?
The Smitty, my guy. Let's keep this real short. Breece Hall against the Cincinnati Bengals, giving up 30.3 points per game in the last 3 weeks. Their owner is outwardly talking about how bad their quarterback play is. He's really the only offensive weapon that they have, depending on whether Garrett Wilson is going to be able to go. Tampa Bay has a solid matchup against New Orleans, but give me Breece Hall this week.
Eric, are you also riding the Breece Hall train this week?
I am also riding the Breece Hall train this week. I have him 6 spots ahead of Rachaad White in my PPR and half PPR rankings.
Love it. Joe Frick, what do you got going on here over the next couple weeks, man? I know you're loaded. FSAN, the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. You're in the thick of it with them. What all should we be on the lookout for, and where can we find it, man?
Yeah, man. So we're all over the map. So I do a show on Wednesday nights at 8:30 Eastern with the Around the 412 network. So me and my boy Drew Hannis, we're doing some fantasy football Tinder, our only fantasy subscriptions for the week, where we subscribe to one player and one player only who we think is going to have a big performance. So trying to get back on the winning schneid there. Friday nights from the forum with Tyler Bradley, who was unable to make it this evening. So you got a better looking person in this spot, which is always advantageous. But Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time, on the FSAN YouTube channel. We do pretty much entirely Q&A, ridiculous outfits, good vibes, all that good stuff. And I'm also the social media director for FSAN. So any funny things that you see or not so funny things that are attempted on X, that's coming from me. So yeah, it's been a good time. Good to be with the IBT crew as always. Some of my favorite peeps here for sure. So yeah, it's been a blast, man.
Dude, love having you on. Thank you so much for making time for us today. I'll have to send you that video I have of karaoke. You can go do whatever you want on the socials. Maybe a little late night post on the FSAN Twitter coming tonight. So I couldn't even remember what song it was, to be honest. You probably don't even either after all that.
No, I sang it was Low by Flow Rider.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
You
All
go.
right. Yeah. Eric, what do you got coming down the barrel this week, man, other than the IBT podcast? Anything we should note?
Everything I've got my hands in will roll up into my Twitter page at Fantasy Nav. I'll have my rankings posted here tomorrow morning. Fresh off the title over at Fantasy Pros, the number 1 running back ranker last week, number 15 overall.
Baby.
Which feels weird because that was probably the sweatiest build out of all of the positions. So cool to see that one coming through.
Let's go.
So still fine tuning those rankings, and my words and bad jokes and thoughts and everything else will be mixed into that Twitter feed too.
Yeah, absolutely. And your Bam Night Love. Don't forget it. He called it in first.
Got 2 more weeks before he turns into a pumpkin. Let's ride it.
Let's ride it, baby. That's going to do it for us tonight on the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. If you've rode with us this long, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. We've got fantasy football and NFL betting content, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, and entertainment betting, all to help you cash more and to enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out inbetweenmedia.com for some dope written content. For Joe Frick and my friend Eric Romoff, and of course Kyle Scott behind the scenes, I'm Seth Wilcock. Thanks for watching, and keep it in between till next time, y'all.